Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm gonna be doing a simple Q&A. I've been wanting to do one for a while now, and I asked you guys if you had any questions for me, and now I'll be answering them, so let's get to it. The first set of questions comes from my good friend Crown from my Discord server. So here are her questions. Number 1. Are we getting more info on the new character Alex soon? Yeah, you'll definitely be getting more info on Alex soon. It's just that at the moment, I'm still working out his character, but I'll definitely be sharing more about him later down the line. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. As for his looks, I'm still constructing his face as well as his whole appearance. So yeah, don't you worry. He's gonna be born soon, so to speak. Number 2. Out of the 3 main character storylines, whom's is your favorite? Aw man, dude. This is tough because, this is one of the trickiest questions for me, to be honest, because I really do love Ludwig, Heinrich, and Johann's storylines as a whole, and it's incredibly difficult for me to choose from, one of them, because they're also unique. I can't exactly pit them against each other, if that makes sense. So, I'm sorry, man, I can't decide. I don't have an answer for that. Number 3. What inspired you to create this project? More specifically, the time period and era. Okay, so I think one of the biggest things that inspired me to make this project was the fact that I haven't really seen a whole lot of prominent historical fiction novels or series, and at least on my end, But yeah, I also wanted to be able to give awareness for this certain events that happened in history, like kind of sensitive ones too, and I wanted to remind people that we should do our best and work together as a species to not let these bad things happen again in the future and to learn from our mistakes. And another thing is because I'm a huge fan of history. I really love learning about it, and I just love talking about it and learning more about things in those eras. And when you think about history, there's so many different angles to look at it from, so that means there's so much more you can explore with it. It's not just from this person's perspective, this is it, this is the whole story. There's much more to it. So with that being said, I also wanted to apply that to the story, because you'll be seeing things unfold from not just one person's perspective, but an entire group. That makes sense? So yeah, for the time period and era, I just find a very personal connection with it. The class and the culture of the 1920s, 1930s, and 40s and all that stuff. And not only that, but also the things that happened at that time, like tragedies, the successes. I just resonate with it. Is that how you use the word? I just feel so connected to it. It's a very special time period for me, I suppose. Number 4. What inspires you the most to keep going on with the project? This is a great question. What inspires me the most? There's not just one thing, to be honest. One of the main things, though, is imagining seeing my books at National Bookstore or any bookstore, really, thinking about the fact that people will be able to read it and hopefully enjoy it as well. Another thing is my friends and my family, because they support me so much in pursuing this project of mine, and it's just become a part of me already. It's part of who I am. I can't just let it go like that, you know what I mean? And what inspires me as well is being able to tell a story of a person's life. Not exactly a real person. It also motivates me a whole lot to know that people enjoy the characters, the story. It just gives me a very empowering drive for some reason. And that's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. What also inspires me is the fact that I'll be able to create something and also be able to hopefully educate others and take them to a place where they haven't really seen yet. What keeps me going as well is just thinking about all the possibilities that can come after the project. Honestly, I've always wanted to be a director of some kind. So whenever I think about the project and if I do complete it, I want to continue it. I want to continue working so I'll be able to achieve things like maybe an animated film or a live action film as well. Whenever I think about those two things, oh my god, it really gives me, come on dude, you gotta keep going, let's see this through, that kind of thing, you know? And just overall enjoying doing the project, that always keeps me going. And having fun with it, that's important. Number 5. If this project was a video game, what kind of game would it be? Point and click, something like the Telltale games, etc.? Dude, I've been thinking so much about this, to be honest. Since I think a few years ago, I've been wanting to make video games, but when I realized that you needed to do tons of coding for it, I'm like, no, I can't do that quite yet. So I was just left to imagine. I do have a few things in mind for the project if I did want it to become a game. One is like a fighting style game. Do you know Blaze Blue? That game, that's one of my favorite games actually. I imagine it to be something like that. That's just one. Another one is something like Detroit Become Human. Yeah, there's a story and you have different endings and it's up to you to decide the fate of the character and how the story is gonna play out. Damn, I love those. I live for those things. So I think that is a point and click. Yes, I would love to have it be a point and click, cause that opens up so many new doors for the person playing it to go through. And I think it'll also be kind of immersive as well in terms of storytelling and all that stuff. Oh, and to add on to that, I think it would be pretty cool, like as how Detroit Become Human did. They played the game through different perspectives. Maybe if the project did become a game, you could choose whose storyline you want to go down on. No, that's just the thought. Okay, so that was Crown's set of questions. Thank you for all of those. I hope I was able to answer them to your satisfaction. Yeah, moving on to the next question, we have Aisha, who is also from the Discord server. Question: do you enjoy being evil and tormenting us with everything? Boy, you know I do. Okay, next is from my good friend Safi, or Safios. You can find her on Tumblr. You can also, the question comes from my Discord server. She asks, what are the inspiration for the Hot Wheels story, setting, and characters? Okay, so let me start with the characters. One of the main inspirations for the characters comes from my family and from myself, along with people I know in real life as well. They're not exactly the same as those people, but they're like mixed. It's like a freaking, what do you call it? A cauldron of tidbits of their personalities, their quirks, their flaws, their ambitions. Take for example, Ludwig's father, Herr Peterson, was a teacher in London and he's also kind of a hunter. My grandfather actually worked in London for a time when he was like, I think in 1980 something, I can't quite remember, but somewhere around that time. He worked in London for a while there. And he was also a teacher here in our country, an arts teacher at universities. So yeah, I took inspiration from that. Another example is Ludwig himself. I feel that he is somewhat a projection of one part of who I am. A lot of them are, to be honest, like Heinrich, he's also a projection. Johann, he's also a projection. For Heinrich, he represents my cynicality towards people. For Johann, it's like me always pressuring myself to do good, to do my best, to not make mistakes. That's another thing. And for Ludwig, he represents, he kind of projects what hope I have for the world, for life. He also represents a sense of naivety I still kind of have towards people. So, okay, wait, I'm getting too deep into it. Moving on. For the setting, I think I answered this in Crown's question. What inspired me was my love for the time area. My love for the time period. And just the fact that I don't see stories like this very often. It's not very brought into focus much. And for the story, this got me thinking a lot. Hold on. The story itself, a lot of things contributed to it. I can't pinpoint it, to be honest. I'm thinking I can't really remember what inspired me to do it, to make the story, I mean. Perhaps in another Q&A I can come back to that and maybe elaborate it a bit more. So thank you guys for your questions from the Discord server. Now I'll be moving on to the Tumblr side of the questions. Anonymous said, "What's your favorite part of the project?" That's a good question. I think, to be honest, all of it. I love the project as a whole and just how everything intertwines with one another. My favorite part, I think, is deciding who dies. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's not that. It might be deciding their fates. That's just one. One thing that comes off the top of my head is exploring the characters as a person, their flaws, their strengths, their fears, and getting kind of personal with them as well. Oh, favorite part as well is it's not the research. I'm not sure if this is considered favorite part, but here's one I can think of. It's when you know how things suddenly start to make sense and the things interconnect smoothly. There's no more hiccups. There's no more unanswered questions. That's just so satisfying for me. Oh my god. In simpler terms, it's just being able to build up the story and complete it and connect it with one another. I think that's gotta be one of the most satisfying and one of my favorite things to do for the project. Thanks for asking. Anonymous said, "What do you think was or is the hardest thing to do in the project?" Oh my god. Here's one. Boy, it is the research. Oh god, I've been doing the project for I think a year and a half now. And one of the most prominent things I can remember is staying up till midnight researching about a certain topic, because I have this thing where I need to know what it is. I need to understand it. Otherwise, I won't be able to go to sleep because I'll keep on thinking about it. Oh my god, what was that? What do you mean? Like, I gotta know. So that was hard for me because I kind of lost a lot of sleep. It kind of drove me nuts. Not gonna lie. Because I also had to figure out when these things were created, when these things were done, important events. Take, for example, the Resistance and how they operated. Here's an example of suffering that I went through during my research phase. I had to research on spy operations and spy tactics of World War II, as well as their equipment for Heinrich's side of the story. But then it's so tricky because I'm really freaking scared I might get blacklisted by Google for searching about spy things. And that was hard because most of the time I couldn't really I couldn't get any results or any satisfying and specific results. That's one. Another one has got to be the timeline. Jesus, Mother God, the timeline. I'm not kidding when I say I've redone and done the timeline more than 20 times on separate papers and notebooks, and it just took me so long to figure out specific dates and when things happen, and I have to parallel them with very specific events and dates in history. That took me a long time as well, deciding the dates. Let's see, another hard thing that I did for the project was... Okay, let me put this into perspective for you. I counted the characters, and there's over 38 characters. 38! I need to have every single one of their storylines and their plots jotted down and done. Their purposes. Not a single one of those guys are allowed to not have a purpose in the story. And it was tough to figure out what their, for example, character A, what are they supposed to do? What is their purpose? What impact do they have on the story? Who do they know? How are they connected? Oh god, it kept me up nights. This project has kept me up nights. I lost so much sleep and sanity over this, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything's good. Yeah, I'm done with that phase. But now, the hardest thing is writing it. Yep, writing it is just... It is difficult. I've been working on the first 2 or 3 chapters for about a month or 2 now. Stuff that contributes to the writing being difficult is one, my schedule. I still have school. Another thing is motivation and time. I mean, the motivation is there sometimes, but then the time and oh god, yeah, just that. I'm sure there's a few more things, but I can't quite remember them right now. If I do though, I'll be making a part 2 and I'll be elaborating on the project storyline and its inspiration and the stuff that I missed, so yeah. Now moving on to Twitter, I received 2 questions. Number 1 comes from my good friend Arit173 or Super Gaming Dude. You should definitely go follow him. And he asked, what's your favorite part of being an artist? Another question is, how far would you go with your novel? How many books would it be? To answer your first question, my favorite part of being an artist is being able to create something from nothing. To be able to bring my ideas swimming in my head onto paper, into real life, and also being able to make other people happy and inspire them as well. That's just one of the most rewarding feelings when it comes to being an artist. And it's an honor. It's a real huge honor, to be honest. And I am blessed to have been able to be given the gift of creation. Wait, that makes me sound like a god. No, I don't mean like creation of art, that stuff, To answer your second question, how far would you go with your novel and how many books would it be? In terms of how many books, I counted it and it came down to the number of 19. 19 books. And that's just for the main storyline. That's not even including the side stories for the characters. So that's quite a lot. It might actually take me my entire life, but it's all good. I'll freaking work for it. I'll probably make a diagram later down the line explaining the timeline of the project and all that stuff. Yeah. As for how far I'd go with it, I'd say pretty far. I really work hard to get far with it because I feel so passionate towards it. I don't want it to just die out. This could be my life's work. I don't know, but I want to be able to see it through to the very end. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for your question. As last question for this video is from the Angry Demon, also known as the Angry Demon on Twitter. He asked, did you ever experience the "can I pay you with exposure" kind of thing? This is pertaining to commissions and my commission work. Let's see. I don't think so. I don't think I've experienced it yet. Yeah, I don't think I've experienced it yet, even way back. Now, the thing with "can I pay you with exposure," see, I'm not entirely a huge fan of the concept of "can I pay you with exposure," but maybe that's just me. I just don't find it to be all that fair, you know? And that's gonna be all for now, guys. Thank you all for your questions. I really do appreciate it. I hope I was able to answer them to your satisfaction. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, by the way, I plan on telling you guys more about the project soon. I just need to come up with a good way of introducing them. I was thinking maybe a video. Yeah, maybe I'll do podcasts as well, just discussing and talking about the character and the project in general. So yeah, that'll be all. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!